So I have officially, I guess, blown up here because I've been roasted. I've been roasted by the meanest people on the planet, and those are the people on Reddit. Because Reddit is, if you ever been on Reddit, man, they will roast you. I was thinking about doing a 100K roast me, like r/roast me video for the 100K, but like r/CS career questions, they did it. So basically, there's this dude, advice from a 20-year web developer, don't listen to Josh. And I thought we would read through it, and then I could, I really wanted to kind of clap some cheeks with this, but I decided, instead I would just explain everything. It's easy to form an opinion when you watch the videos and you're in your own room and you're like, I don't like this guy, but I figured I would add some context to all of the things that they said about me. So I got my first little bit of drama. What up? I guess that means I made it. But for real, I'm just gonna look through this. All right, so you can see here, advice from a 20-year web developer, don't listen to me. Using a throwaway because I don't want this drama on my main account. This guy's videos have been everywhere, and this video right here is the video of me talking about why I won't work a dev job. Pretty sure. Yeah. So apparently I triggered him and everyone else here in CS career questions. So let me just read through this 10-point list that he's got of me, and then we'll take a look at some of the comments. So he says, I feel bad for his dad. Unfortunately, his dad probably should have seen the changing wave of how careers work and should have been prepared. I'd rather you just hear it from him.
Being the face of the company, it was all about selling them something that they didn't need, whether it was service contracts or parts or anything like that. And I don't agree with that, and that's where we disagreed. So they let me go.
And then they sued you when you made your own business with your retirement, because that's the only thing that you knew how to do. Because that's what you've been doing for 25 years.
That's correct. They did sue me. I did lose. I couldn't fight with a global corporate company.
You should have just used your retirement to go into another trade instead of breaking the agreement.
Well, there wasn't another trade to go in. I couldn't go and work for another company that did the same types of service work. That was prohibited too. If you wanted another job, you had to go into a totally different type of repair. I would have had to go in working on, an automobile.
You signed that shit in 1990. 27.
I was 27.
You were 27 when you signed a non-compete that came back and haunted you when you were 52 years old.
Yeah.
And then they took everything that they actually paid you to earn and they took it all back.
Yeah. I guess I'm supposed to go back to school for 4 years and get another education in something. No, that's not happening. I don't have enough 401k to last 2 years or 4 years.
You lost the non-compete. The judge took the hammer, slammed it down, and said, Mike, you lose.
That's what happened.
And so then they just took everything.
Yes, they did.
And here we are.
Yes, we are. Because of my age now, I can't get into a different type of job.
Pretty much.
It's age discrimination now.
No, it's just your job gap, Mike. We don't trust it.
Well, I didn't have a job gap there for a while while I was applying for jobs, I didn't have a job gap.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that answers your question about everything that happened with my dad.
Yep, that's how it is. I'm going about it a different way. There's always a way around things.
So the next thing he tries to roast me for is talking about playing video games at my remote job. I did play games before stand-up and sometimes after stand-up and sometimes between tickets, and I don't think that matters. This is knowledge work. This is not quantifiable work. If I go home after a long day and I'm thinking about how to solve a ticket that I had at work, that's technically working. If I wake up in the morning and during my commute, during my bus ride, I'm sending emails and stuff, technically that's still work too. And I'm thinking about how I'm going to start the day, what I do when I get there, that's technically working too. So sometimes to figure out the problem, you have to stop thinking about the problem. And so sometimes I'd be like, all right, this is too much. I'm just going to hop on some video games and not think about it. Or I still would think about it, but I'd be in a relaxed, different state of mind. And I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters what you're doing. You can still be solving problems up here. You don't have to have VS Code up all day, every day to be like, I'm working. You don't have to be typing all day. It's up here. How do you quantify that? It's not knowledge units like Tai Lopez or something, I could be thinking about how to solve problems while I'm doing other things. This guy says, your time is your own. Don't work on their stuff when they're not paying. Blah, blah, blah. Get that money. Get that bonus. Sometimes I know that I need to make my boss look good for his presentation, and he needs to make his boss look good. But you know what? I love it. I love what I do, so sometimes I'll give up my free time. Okay, so this is where we differentiate. I didn't love what I did. I never found a job where I loved what I did, and I definitely didn't find a job where I loved making the people above me look better so that I get a pat on the back. He says, don't shit on anyone for working more or less than you. Focus on you, and if you want to stay late and work on something and don't feel guilty about it, do the best work you can, not the hardest work you can. Look, man, if you want to work, go work. That's great. You stay late, you put in those hours, you buy that CEO a brand new Lambo. Number 4, and I'll save this one for last. It says, in his video, A Day in the Life of a Software Engineer, he's so condescending to his boss about the code he has to rework. You can tell just by the look on her face that she's like, oh my god, this little shit just started his career less than 5 years ago, and he's telling me there's no way to do that when I know other React devs that can't. I mean, first of all, if you can read that off of her face, you might be a mind reader, number 1, because that's quite the assumption of what she's thinking just by the look on someone's face. And then number 2, if you go watch that video, I admit that video is fake. It's like made up. They're all fake. Day in the life videos, they're fake. They show the good parts, right? So me and my boss thought it would be a fun idea to be like, oh, what if the requirements change? And then I go like facepalm. She's like, oh, that'd be really funny. And I'll send you like a Skype message. And so we were in on it. It was fake. Stop taking it so literally. Because we all know that happens on the job. And you're like, oh my gosh, but no one ever says anything out loud. And that's what I do, right? I show the stuff that people don't want to show. So he says, if a new junior dev came into my team and said, hey, I really want to do this video of a day in the life of a software and make the company look bad, that's what I say. I want to make a day in the life video and make companies look bad. Of course, yeah, that's exactly what I say. Then I would tell him, no, it's bad advertising. And WTF, you joined less than a year ago, get back to work. First of all, if you're going to talk to me like that, I'm probably not going to go get back to work. Are you kidding me? Like, why are you being so rude? This is not professional. That's probably what you'd say, right? Maybe can't say for sure without meeting him directly. He can't get a job or keep one because he's an obnoxious prick. And then number 2, I'd like you to realize I live in the state of Utah. So if I don't show any intellectual property and I don't sign any non-disclosure agreements, I'm allowed to film anywhere I want as long as I am part of the party, which means I'm always part of the party if I'm the one filming. So I can film whether or not you really want me to. In both his Day in the Life of a Software Engineer vids, he's constantly bashing other companies saying that's not real. There's no free food. We never had free drinks. The general sentiment of everyone just eating food all day and looking like their company like they don't do anything, like that's not real. My company ordered food every other week and then they took it away and then they gave it back. I didn't say that never happens. I just say unless you work at these huge companies like in Silicon Valley where they offer all these perks, but I work for a giant company. Okay, so there you go. Problem solved. This one's hilarious. He just throws in a little elitism here. The new norm is 200 job applications and 50 interviews, even though my current job landed in my lap and I easily got the gig. I could easily get a new one. Don't lie during an interview. I got laid off once and the interviews I tried to lie about made it look really bad when they found out. I never said lie in the interview. I'm going to say whatever you need me to say in the job application on Indeed.com because I know that Indeed has these dumb filters that say if you don't have 3 years required, it's not going to get sent to the person and no one's ever going to see your resume. Even though I feel like I'm applicable, like I can do this job, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put 3 years on this application and I'm going to send it out. I said get to the interview so you can explain yourself. It's always about getting in there and talking about it because it's a lot harder to dismiss someone in person once you can explain yourself versus just having this arbitrary filter on the internet where you don't even get a chance for someone to hear your story. So am I wrong for putting, yeah, I have 3 years because I think I can do the job when I didn't actually have 3 years, but I still think I can do the job? Is that lying in an interview? No, that's just trying to get past the application process so I can explain my story. And then number 10, he acts so cocky in his interviews. He shares at least one recorded interview he had that I want him to fail. Come on, man, I would never, why would you say he's cocky so I want him to fail? I was interviewing with a recruiter that was trying to put me for a job that I'm not qualified for, a recruiter that wanted to get me a job so that he could get his cut, regardless of if I was hired on after it was contract to hire. As soon as he hires me and they get that 6-month contract, boom, he made his cut. One and done. It doesn't matter what happens to me afterwards, even if he knows I'm not qualified, but they hired me and I'm excited, I'm happy to get the job, and then I don't perform at the job and then they fire me, it doesn't matter. He made his money already, and I know that. I'm aware of that. These recruiters are trying to take advantage of me, and so I'm not letting them do that. I'm a bob and weave. I'm gonna ask you questions that maybe prompt you to think about some stuff, rather than trying to convince me that every job that you have for me is the greatest fit ever. You are interviewing the company just as much as a company is interviewing you. You are evaluating them just as much as a company is evaluating you. That's just how it works. Otherwise, you're just going to be all dependent on them like, oh, please, I hope I get the job. No, it goes both ways. You have to drive the interview in your direction, take charge, show that you know what you're doing. At least that's, in my opinion, that's what you should do. You shouldn't just like submit and wait for them to ask you all the questions and just be like, yes, no, like don't do that. Like drive that, show confidence, show that you know what you're doing, show that you're excited to be there, show that you brought value. That's my recommendation. This guy does not represent the typical junior dev experience. Be humble, learn. You don't think that's what I did? You don't think I was humble the first time I got let go and I was like, oh man, this stinks. I need to get better. I need to be a better dev. I need to learn more skills so this doesn't happen the next time. So that's what I did. You don't think that I was this? I try to be this. I don't think I'm the better than anyone else. I try to stay down to earth. I don't want to get on a pedestal because then someone's going to come knock you off. I try to be humble. I try to learn from my mistakes. So right here, there's some senior software engineer where it says he makes this giant bullet pointed list about how that was painful to watch. And he has a little bit of sympathy for me, I guess, but then at the same time, he says some contradicting stuff that I would like to point out. Do not sign non-competes without fully understanding what you're signing. He was 27 years old with a baby on the way. I really doubt that was like, I mean, you heard him in the beginning. Right here, where I talked about being a better deal, that's where I have to stop. And I have to be like, you don't know any better. When it's your first job in the industry, you don't know any better. They tell you that you're family, they treat you like your family, everything is good until it's not, and then they let you go. And so, while it's easy for you to be like, we forget that sometimes this is just how it is, it's for a reason. It's because they don't want you to think about it while you're at work. You can't forget about something if you never knew about it. And that's the issue I have with your statement here. He starts talking about on how they treated him when he was let go. You need to leave. Do you think I'm going to have a scene right now? Yeah, that's a possibility. So it's their duty to remove him quickly and quietly. I've been there, it sucks, but if someone lets you hang around and you snap, their livelihood is now on the line. Okay, you know, you worked side by side with me late into the morning. We were bros, we were cool. You know me personally, you know how I'm gonna react. We've talked about what happens, where are you going in the future. We know what's gonna happen here. We work in a 10 by 10 room for 5 days a week. I think I should get to say bye. And I accept their decision, and I told them this. Right here where it says, so it's their duty to remove him quickly and quietly. What the fuck, bro? Like, is this some special ops team to fire employees? Just like, target has been terminated. Remove the evidence quickly and quietly. That's what this looks like. I just wanted to say, hey man, I hope your wife's pregnancy gets along well. Actually, when we shook hands in the meeting, you know what they said to me? They said, you have a mechanical engineering degree. You'll do fine. You're not like people here that we employ that have like a master's in English. And that's why they get paid $10 an hour. You'll be okay. They said that to me. And I was like, yeah, it's whatever. I just want to say bye. And they're like, no, you need to leave. And then he starts talking about coworkers are not friends. There's always an exception to the rule. I have like a couple people that I talked to from that job we all got let go from. I can't comment because it makes no logical sense. The company ran out of contracts for us because it was a government contract and we knew that. So we were on the lookout trying to get new contracts for the company and we had a few in the works. Basically, he decided that he didn't want to go through with them anymore, and he's like, you know what? I think we've got what we needed to done. They built the project, and now we don't need them anymore. And gaps in resume and lying. Gaps are bad. The longer you have a gap, the worse it is. With that said, you're playing with fire, and if you lie on your resume to get a job, it can absolutely cost you an opportunity. Just remember, folks, there are other ways besides lying about employment to fill your job gap. And then he gives an example of how to lie. If you're gonna lie, make it something easier to keep up with. Like, I decided to take some time off work to work on my own stuff. Ta-da, gap filled. Make some projects and show them off in the interview and then tell them some other projects got tossed out. So some more advice on how to lie after he's demonizing me for lying. Now your gap is filled with coding, makes sense, and the red flag has been lowered. So this is something that I kind of want to talk about, right? I'm being honest about how I applied and I'm getting demonized for it. I tried to do the right thing. Honest is the best policy, right? Like I tried. I said, hey, the last company I worked at, their financial budget ran out, and so now we're all on the hunt. And they said, okay. And I got ghosted from every single job that I told that to. They were just like, interesting. And so then I tried what this guy's saying. Oh yeah, I took a break to work on personal projects. And you know what they said to me? They said, we don't count personal projects as professional work experience. And so as you see the bank account start to tick down, and as you see those numbers going down, and as you start to realize that you're about to be homeless with eviction records, you're just, you know what? I do have a job, and I'm currently looking for more responsibility. So if it's me and living under a bridge, or me saying, yes, I do have a job, but I'm currently looking for a new one, hey, I have a job. I'm not hiding all this. I'm not hiding everything that I've done here. I'm just telling you, I started with that, and then it didn't work, and then I tried something else, and that didn't work, and then I tried this, and then it finally worked, and I was running out of money, so I needed a job. Is it the proudest thing that I've ever done in my life? No, I'm not like super proud of it. Would I do it again if I had to get another job and I was about to be homeless? Absolutely. You bet your ass I would do it again. I don't think it matters. I don't think you should be penalized for a job gap. It just doesn't make any sense. It's weird, you know? I'm being honest about being dishonest, and I'm telling you my experience and my story, and then everyone like hates on you for it. So, you know, at least you didn't like find out and like, you know, dug some dirt on me. I just came to you and I told you, and now I'm still getting demonized for it, you know? Even then, you know, I didn't hurt anybody. I was just trying to not be homeless so that I could produce more work and provide for myself and my family. So if you're gonna get mad at me for that, then whatever, that's fine. Oh, this is the part where he he takes a shit on grindreel.academy. He just takes a stab at me here. Nor would I be comfortable hiring someone that has gone through his, quote, grindreel academy. Okay, if this is what he teaches him, I can assure you, if I ever hired this guy and saw this video, my stomach would be in knots knowing I just allowed this shady person to access all of our stuff. Someone who says all this kind of stuff is definitely not someone I would want inside my code base. Okay, it's not your code base, it's the company's code base. I need to be able to trust you, at least to some extent, before I can give you the keys to the kingdom. Developers have a lot of access. You're still going to penalize me for it, for wanting to provide and not be homeless. You're going to penalize me for it and say that your stomach would be in knots because I'm like this like serial killer that has like, you know, and you just found it's not even close to that, but this is what you're reacting like. And then you just take a stab at grindreel.academy. You think that I'm giving unethical advice. I can't knock his business sense, but he may be cynical and sounds like an absolute nightmare of an employee. And I recognize that too. And that's why you won't hire me, because I don't want to work for you anyways. So then there's this part. This part is like the best part of this dude's whole little comment here. On a side note, I noticed on his video description, he had a link titled Land the Job, get help with a resume or cover letter. He talks about how he can't figure out how to get the job, and then goes on to give away his secret of how he thinks you should land one. And that's not what I said. I know how to land a job, and I know how to do interviews, and I know how to do code tests. It's not like that. It's just the circumstances of the time were like they were taken away because there was no budget for the position, or the requirements for the position were changed, or they just didn't have the position anymore. That's the kind of stuff that kept happening because it was right around the time of the presidential election years ago. But mainly he assumes right here, he says, and then goes on to give away his secret for how he thinks you should land one. Lie through your teeth about absolutely everything. You're assuming that I'm telling everyone to just lie through your teeth about absolutely everything, when that is not what I said at all. No matter how much I respect him as an entrepreneur, I cannot recommend anyone to use his service about landing jobs from someone who did you even look at what it was? Did you even look at the product? It's a resume template and a cover letter template, all of which I've had positive feedback on for every single job that I applied to. It's just, these are template files. Please use them and fill in your own information. By the way, the link for those are in the description. And you're saying, I can't recommend anyone using his service about landing jobs from someone who admit to all this on camera. Why not? Wouldn't you respect me more? Because this is how the world works. You want me to just lie and tell you the world is just gumdrops and rainbows and fluffy bunnies? Because that's not what it is. All right, so here's the part that really gets me. I'm glad the guy was willing to be so real on camera, but I honestly hope new developers don't copy him unless they're prepared to start their own business. Otherwise, you'll end up with a Darwin Award, and new devs already struggle. So basically you're saying, if people take my advice and do what I did, you'll end up with a Darwin Award. And then up here you're saying, you know, I tell people to lie through their teeth and I should be demonized for that. But let's just scroll back up here for just a minute here. If you're going to lie, make it something easier to keep up with a direct example of what to do. And then when you get to the interview, tell them some other projects got tossed out. So you demonize me for lying down here at the bottom and say that if people copy me, they're going to get a Darwinism award. And then up here, up at the top, you give examples of how to do exactly what you're demonizing me for. So, you know, cool, dude. Black Diablos here. This is a great response. The other point that bothered me is that he kept talking about his STEM degree from a no-name university in Finland that he isn't using as if it was supposed to get him any job that he wants in the US. He essentially changed careers, did a small amount of continuing education at Dev Mountain Bootcamp, and now complains that he got a low-tier job offer with low-tier qualifications in a mediocre market. Okay, you are implying a couple things, that because my university was no-name, a small little town on the border of Russia and Finland, yeah, it was a no-name university. You're implying that my degree isn't worth anything just because I didn't go to a named university that people recognize. And then number two, you assume that college is going to give me everything that I need, and it didn't. Okay, so this guy right here, he basically just says I'm a snake oil salesman. He's trying to sell you something. Everything he says is suspect. And his big side hustle seems to be marketing stuff about being an entrepreneur. Hey, I know a great way to start making money. I'll tell you what it is for $99. No, that's what dropshippers do. Dropshippers say, hey, I make $10,000 a month by dropshipping, buy my course on dropshipping. And I talk about that all the time on my live streams, and I'm not that. Basically, my side hustle shows exactly how to open a business and what business is for you. So different business entities like, you know, LLC, S Corp, LLC, sole proprietor, C Corp, how to get everything that you need to open a bank account, like an EIN number, all the paperwork, the exact paperwork names, how to send that to the IRS, what kind of accountants you can use, your tax burdens. I also talk about how you could pay yourself a salary, how you can have an accountability plan for yourself and have mixed use cases such as your phone and your internet and your business car if you're working for yourself, freelance emails that get attention, and so on. Different platforms to monetize your skill set, whatever your skill set is that you think people would enjoy. I watched a few of his videos and he seems like a lot of the low-level engineers here. And you're calling me a low-level engineer as in like I should be on the short bus, not low-level engineer as I work with like C and assembly languages. So you just throw some elitism in there. I don't know how you got upvoted so much, but you know, good job for being an elitist, I guess. Influencers should never be trusted in general. Who do you think pays them? Follow the money. So here, let me tell you, Team Treehouse, Pluralsight, Lambda School, Skillshare, Pramp, YouTube, Thought Leaders, Makers Watch, people that buy my courses, donations, Twitch subscribers, and people that buy the products that I sell. So that's where the money's coming from. I wonder how he would ever go about getting hired should his YouTube stuff ever dry up. So I won't get hired. I recognize that, and I don't want to be hired. I taught code for a while, so I'd probably freelance and teach how to do code again. And I would probably, teach film, teach branding, digital marketing. It won't be for a company. And if that didn't work, then I would drive Uber or Lyft or Amazon Delivery or do Rover or sell courses and use Facebook ads to do that. I mean, that's what dropshippers do, except at least my content has some value instead of your, $49 RGB dog collar that you bought from Facebook. He said in one of his recent videos that he's a martyr and not afraid to say what everyone is thinking. He thinks that he's sacrificing his future in order to protect his viewers. And I kind of think that. I have to wonder if there's managers out there that watch this and just kind of chuckle under their breath, but because they can kind of acknowledge that what I'm saying is true. But I know that I'm saying stuff like, I'm not a good employee. I don't want to work for you. I'm going to work on me. I understand that no one's going to hire me for saying that stuff. I've had messages on LinkedIn. Hey, thanks for saying what I've been thinking. And now that I know that I'm not crazy, but everyone else here at my job seems a little bit like they're kind of brainwashed. And then this guy right here, oh man, logical fallacies everywhere, like that Buzz Lightyear meme. There's two logical fallacies here that I'd like to point out that he talks about. So he doesn't address the argument of, he says that he's a martyr. Basically, he takes a minute to insult me and everything I have, which is known as a straw man. And then he also has a no true Scotsman here where he calls me not a real dev. Josh is bitter and resentful. I'm a little bit salty at the industry for kind of, slinging me around so much. But I use that as motivation and fuel. Am I actually resentful? I probably wouldn't want to shake the hands of the managers that decided I wasn't a good deal. No. So this is the part where the straw man comes in. So he forgets about the argument of me being a martyr and just says, but have you seen his website? So that's when you divert attention from the argument to just insult something about that person. And he says, but have you seen this website? It's a garbage website where he sells the shittiest scam products ever. And when it was just launched, people would point out bugs. He would excuse it by saying he didn't have the time to make it perfect. In fact, he used WordPress because he didn't even have time to make his own website, despite quitting his job and producing very little content at the time. So you assume because I quit my job and wasn't making YouTube videos that I wasn't spending my time in a productive manner. You're right, there are some spelling errors on there, and you're right, I think it does need to be overhauled 10 times, but I'm one guy. I don't feel a need to make something from scratch because I'm over here making YouTube videos and editing and then going live and responding to people and on Instagram and living life, it's not the best website, I'll give you that, but for you to just say that it's garbage and that I sell scam products is just not true, and it's quite assumptuous. And if you'd like to check it out, the link for that's in the description. Thank you so much. He's not a real dev. He's bitter and opinionated. This is what's called a no true Scotsman. You'll hear this quite often. You're not a real dev if you don't code in assembly or C. You're not a real dev if. You're not a real man if. You're not a real gamer if you don't play this game or whatever. People will say that. It means you're gatekeeping. You can't be this label unless you do what I require you to do. All right, so here's one of the most favorite comments in this thread so far. I think there's this big gap in understanding between people, maybe it's culture, and I believe that you should be respectful first and foremost. Agree with people even if you don't agree with them. Consider their criticism. Listen because you're not the smartest person in the room. Josh Fluke doesn't think this. And this guy's like, you believe that you should agree with people even if you don't agree with them? Did I read that wrong? And then he says, yes, you should tell people you agree with them even if you don't agree with them. It's called being polite. Amazing. This is quality right here, dude. Princess Olivia, you're the same person who called me low level. So, all right. So here's this last point I would like to address, just up here at the top. Number 4, right here. In one of his vids, he publicly talks about guys that go home, grab the lube, slap the meat, and then go to sleep. I would never hire this guy as a consultant, a contractor, a business owner, especially in a conservative place like you. All right, Mr. Web Dev Throwaway Guy, all this conservativeness in your comments got me a little bit concerned. Are you the type of guy that does missionary only, no eye contact allowed, no pleasure allowed, just for procreation? Because if so, you might like the turkey baster method instead.